Hope you're ready. Comments are disabled for this video.
This is episode 19 for July 10th, 2014. Let's chat. Welcome to Magic Chat with Dan and Mike. I'm your host, Dan Levan, and joining me, as always, is the... Wait a minute. Whoa, stop it. Michael McKenna is not with me today. This is a twist. This is a change. I think you guys can handle it, but with me today, I have a very special guest, Chewie.
I was
Say hi,
hoping I
Chewie.
could be the lovely and talented Michael McKenna.
Playing the role of Michael McKenna today is Chewie.
Hi, everybody.
You know I'm going to cut Chewbacca noises in here somewhere. I kind of have to. Where'd you pick up that nickname anyway?
Believe it or not, I've had it since my freshman year of high school.
How did you get it, or do you even remember? Is the story lost in the ages?
If I remember correctly, so I was in one of those classes where the freshmen take because they don't know any better, and seniors take because they're kind of dumb and just need more credits. And
Yeah.
I was done doing stuff when I was sitting there reading a Star Wars book, and I got up to go do something. When I came back, one of the dumb seniors was like, "Hey, man, you look kind of like Chewbacca." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" He's like, "Yeah, hey, everybody, he look like Chewbacca." And so they all started calling me Chew. And in that class were another couple of people that were in all my other classes who, were freshmen that didn't know any better. And it sort of spread. And one day the teacher was like, "So should I call you that too?" And I was like, "You might as well."
Wow, that's an interesting story. So, for those of our listeners who don't know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Chewie. I'm old, sort of decrepit. I'm broke, and I don't play Magic. Well, not nearly as often as I'd like. So I'm Chewie. I'm the creator and lead dork over on the Mana Pool, which is a very long-running casual Magic podcast. I say casual because it's sort of the de facto opposite of tournament-oriented. We very rarely get into the tournament-y side of things. We focus more on all the fun you can have with Magic. Anything from flavor to goofy decks to random philosophical nonsense. Just whatever we can think of to talk about, we do. And I'm also the host over on Monday Night Magic, which is an even longer-running Magic news show that I took over.
Oh, I didn't know that one was longer running.
Oh, yeah. Monday Night Magic, when I got the idea for the Mana Pool, I decided to go dig around and see if there were other Magic podcasts. Maybe it was an original idea. No, it was not an original idea. And then, let's see, when we started the Mana Pool, Monday Night Magic was still Dom, Tom, and Gavin. And lots of people are going, who? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gavin Verhey actually got his start on Monday Night Magic.
I was wondering if you were talking about Gavin Verhey. Yeah.
And so when Tom decided, he was going to have a family and he was going to give it up, they tapped me to take it over, and that was around 2 years ago, maybe more, maybe less. I have no concept of the passage of time. So yeah.
That's cool.
And up until for a stretch of almost a year, maybe, I was the guy running MTG Cast.
Right.
So I was.
Well, you've done a lot of work over there.
Yeah, I was the guy that downloaded that handled all the submissions, downloaded them all, re-encoded them to the proper specs, because podcasters are notorious for not wanting to listen. I mean, myself included.
Yeah.
Adding the ad to the beginning when we got that like doubled the amount of time I had to spend doing that, and then uploading them and posting the show notes and everything for everyone to find. Luckily,
that must have been a ton of work with that old system that you had.
Yeah, it was a part-time job that didn't pay. But
yeah.
Luckily, when the new people took over, they put the vast majority of that in the hands of the podcasters themselves, so I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's just like posting a blog post now.
Yeah.
It's much easier.
You guys put it up, and I go through and double-check everything and hit approve, or there's a handful of other people who do too. It's not just me.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That makes things a lot easier for you then.
Yeah.
And that's one of the sites where we host the show. We do have our own blog page too, but I definitely host over there on MTG Cast, and I link to it in all my show notes and stuff like that, so people can find it. It's a great resource too. That's where I ran across limited resources for the first time. And the ones I regularly listen to, like Judge Cast and Card Advantage, and of course the Mana Pool, I listen to all the time. So it's a really good resource for finding a wide variety of podcasts, Magic related, definitely.
It's true.
And the reason we have you on the show this week, this is usually our sponsor segment, and you are actually kind of going to be our sponsor. We usually do like a joke sponsor in here. Like last week's sponsor was the Belly Full of Sugar and Shame. And
I've been there. It's good stuff.
It is good stuff, yeah. So, you are doing something special with the Mana Pool. Why don't you tell us about it?
I am. So I've been doing the Mana Pool since November of 2007, which makes me feel old every time I say that. And my co-host Dorks and I have been doing it basically free of charge. We have a sponsor who pays the hosting, but the hosting's not expensive, so we don't actually make any money off of it. And we've been doing it for a very long time. And then I do Monday Night Magic, and I was doing MTG Cast, which for the vast majority of the time I was doing it was not a paid position. And I've been doing this all this time because I love it. You know, oh my.
Bless you.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I didn't feel that coming. What was I saying? Good Lord, that blew part of my brain out. There it is on the floor. Oh no. What was I saying? Right. I've been doing it all this time, you know, because I love it. It's the only job that I've ever had that I loved, but it doesn't pay anything, so it's not really a job. But I got thinking, why not make it a job? You know, I'm so full of ideas that I don't have the time to turn into reality. And when I had this idea, I also had the idea that my listeners have been asking for stuff for a very long time, literally years. And so I'm doing a Kickstarter. The first goal.
Sweet. So by stuff, you mean like deck boxes,
yeah,
sleeves,
they just want
play
stuff.
mats, that kind of thing.
Like, give us stuff. Yeah. We will buy stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't have stuff. And I don't have the ability to create stuff because stuff costs money. But I'm doing a Kickstarter. The first goal is going to be for merchandise. We're getting Mana Pool sleeves made and some stickers, because everyone loves stickers for some reason, except for me, it turns out. We're getting some custom tokens made. Yeah,
that's sweet. Yeah, I saw the art for those.
Blows me away.
They look pretty cool.
Artist Jars Cristobal is a listener for a very long time. Out in the Philippines, and he made like the cartoon heads that are on the top of the manapool.com and some other art for me for things that I haven't been able to use yet because I have no time. And I asked him, you know, we're thinking of making tokens for us. Do you want to do that? And he's like, woo! And he sent us these amazing pieces of art here after a brief, a brief description of what we thought wanted. He goes, here, and he just dropped this amazingness on us. And he also put them together in a playmat, which we're getting made as well. So is that everything? Oh, and T-shirts.
T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean, it's
kind of
sort of given. And
yeah, absolutely. So how can people find their way over to your Kickstarter?
Hopefully there's a link in your show notes.
There will be a link in my show notes.
If you just go to Kickstarter and type in the Mana Pool or Google the Mana Pool Kickstarter, then you'll find it. Or you can follow me on Twitter. Go to themanapool.com. Basically anywhere that I've been, there's a link to the Kickstarter. Yeah. The first goal, like I said, covers the merch. Anything after that is gravy, and that is going to be to help pay the bills while I focus on content creation and turning themanapool.com into my job. Yeah, I've got ideas for videos and more audio stuff and more text-based stuff, and it's all going to be, you know, fun and entertaining. I actually finally got started on the 3 questions from Grand Prix Vegas, finally, after all this time.
What questions are those?
Well, I can't tell you what the questions are, but you have to go listen to the show for that. For those that don't know, a while back I started going to Grand Prix whenever they were nearby or I had the ability to go, and I came up with 3 completely off the wall, well, not completely, but off the wall questions that were somehow related to what was going on. Like, for instance, in Charlotte, my 3 questions were, if you were a planeswalker, what would your limit break be? If you could send your boss to any plane in Magic, where would you send them? And what B-list tribe would you want to see get a little bit of extra love? Yeah, and I asked everybody 3 questions. Judges, tournament organizers, pros, listeners, just anyone that I think might give me an interesting answer. And sometimes they don't, but that's okay. They go in the show anyway. And it gives people... Like, the reason I do it, it's entertaining, because people come up with some of the most off-the-wall answers to my questions. But it gives a look, like, pros are just people who play Magic in a lot of people's eyes. You know, they write articles, they play Magic, but some of them are not right in the head. Like, 2 of my favorite to talk to are David Ochoa and Jackie Lee. I look forward to tracking them down anytime I go to an event, because they always have, you know, entertaining answers. And you'd never know, just, you know, from watching them play Magic or reading their articles, that they're a lot of fun. So, you know, and it gives judges a chance to open up and talk to the public, because judges are just, is that guy over there in the stripy shirt? No. Judges are awesome. I love judges.
Yeah, Treasures of the Grail. I know you have clues on your
Oh,
Monday
yeah.
Night Magic. Yeah, I love his show too. I like to Card Advantage.
It
is a great
is.
show.
It's high quality stuff. Clues does not screw around.
It really is. No, I heard him at the PAX panel there, where he challenged them on what is the guy, Crewfix, with his reveal ability that's not like a triggered ability, and he was like taking the designers to task on that one. And I want to scream in agreement every time he complains about the order of the decks on the Wizards website from the Grand Prix, the deck list. It's like, how much effort does it take to put them in winning order or some kind of
We
order?
really need to, rather than just ranting on Monday Night Magic, we really need to start like attacking Wizards coverage people.
Yeah, it's like from Trick Jarrett all the way down. It's like crazy. They're not even alphabetical. They're just like shotgunned onto there. It's like, there, have some deck list. Like you couldn't have fixed that when you redid the website. Anyway, so Manapool is a great show. I think everybody listening to me ought to go listen to it. And Monday Night Magic, they're definitely fun shows. And swing by the Kickstarter, check it out, see what Chewie has to say, and support him, man, because it's a great thing that you do.
And if you don't want to give me money, then at least help me spread the word.
Oh yeah, tweet about it, Facebook about it,
Yeah.
whatever social, Pinterest it. What are the other ones?
I don't know.
Twitter it.
LinkedIn, is that still a thing? I don't even know.
I think LinkedIn is still a thing. Flickr it. Can you Flickr it?
Is that still around? I don't even know.
I think so, yeah.
I think Instagram might have killed it by now.
Yeah, I don't think so, though. Every now and then I still see Flickr. And there's some new one floating around, too, that I see TK post all the time. I don't know.
Huh.
So, anyway, we are going to move on with our show now. And we're going to start with our Pack One Pick One that I like to do. You know how this works. We open a pack, and I don't actually have a physical pack here, but I do have one in my Magic Online account I'm going to open, and I'll read down the cards, and we can see which ones we would pick in a draft. You up for that?
Seems good to me.
All
I'm a
right.
horrible drafter, though, so...
See if I can open one of these. See if I can get Moto to cooperate here. Does not always cooperate. Do you play online at all?
I try not to. I have a Magic Online account. I actually re-downloaded it a while back and logged in so that I could sample the goofy format Mojo Stow, which is...
Mojo Stow?
Yeah, so it's, what is that called? Vanguard.
Momir Basic.
It's not quite. You use 3 avatars. You've got Momir and Joyra and Stonehewer Giant. So you have random creatures, random spells, and random equipments flying around.
Oh,
And
that
it's truly chaotic and a lot of fun.
I haven't heard of that format. I've played the Momir Basic, and it's just a blast.
Yeah, imagine that, but way worse.
Wow, just way crazier. All right, so first card in our Pack One Pick One here is Sigiled Starfish. This is the little guy, 1 in a blue for an 0/3, and you tap him to scry 1. What do you think about this card?
I love that guy. The Patrick Scryfish.
Scryfish, yep.
He's actually far more amazing than you might think just reading him, because that consistent scrying every turn is... It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the card filtering, for just being able to do it every turn is really powerful, and having a nice little blocker early in the game, just to kind of keep you alive to get you the later game. We all definitely love this card. It's really good. It actually could potentially be first pickable, depending on what else we have in the deck.
True.
So that kind of goes into our short list. The next card is Starfall. 4 and a red for an instant. Deals 3 damage to target creature. If that creature is an enchantment, it deals 3 damage to the creature's controller. What do you think about this?
It's always good.
It is. I'm not a huge fan of it, probably because of the mana cost. I mean, by the time you get to 5 mana, I'm not sure you're necessarily killing something with it. But
Was it an instant or a sorcery? I forgot.
instant.
Okay.
So that definitely steps it up a notch. I mean, it's certainly playable.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't take it over the Starfish myself. Our next card is Market Festival, 3 in the green for an enchantment. Enchant land. Whenever the enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds 2 mana in any combination of colors to his or her mana pool. Mana pool. See? Look at that. I'm just reading cards. I'm quoting the name of your show. How about that?
It's awesome.
I've heard of some people playing this card, but I don't know. Feels...
I mean, I'd probably play it if I was trying to splash an extra color, or even 2 if I was really greedy, but I don't think it's anywhere near first pickable.
No, definitely not. It certainly is good color fixing. Would have been great with the Chromanticore. If you take this and you get a Chromanticore in Pack 2, you're living the dream. Absolutely. Our next one is Lightning Diadem, 5 in a red for an enchantment. Enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, it does 2 damage to target creature or player. And what does it give? Gives the enchanted creature +2/+2.
I mean, yeah, I love this card. I don't know if it's good or if I just really like it, but I really like it.
I think the effect is really good. I think the cost makes it prohibitive to really play. There was a card like this. It might have been in the original Ravnica block that cast for 3, I think.
Yeah, Galvanic Arc.
Yeah, that's the one. And I think it shocked when it came into play, too.
Actually, it bolted.
It bolted.
And it gave the creature first strike, and it only cost 3. So
yeah.
it was completely unfair. I loved it.
Infinitely better than this card. In a similar vein, I would say this card is strictly unplayable, but I think that you're just going to have better options.
Probably.
Yeah. Next card is 2 and a black for Grim Guardian. He's an enchantment creature, and whenever Grim Guardian or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life, and he's a 1/4. I really like this guy. I like the whole Constellation thing. Do you play much Limited?
Not as much as I'd like. Usually it's just the pre-release, and maybe I'll hit a sealed event at the launch, but I very rarely do any drafting, mostly because I'm broke, as I said before. So
yeah, that makes it tough to draft.
Yeah, and since I don't play online, I actually have to go somewhere to draft, which means I have to draft with a bunch of people I don't like. Don't know. Actually, most of the guys at my local shop, I don't like at all. So.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's a shame they don't actually listen to the podcast, so they'd be like, hey.
Yeah, we actually have a really good group of guys at my shop. Very tight, very good crew. A lot of them play at a really high level, but they're not, I don't know how to say this, they're not dicks about it. They're very open to, like, new players, younger players coming in, and experienced players. You know, we like to get more people and get them playing well, too. That's the thing. It doesn't do any good if you're just going in and crushing 8-year-olds all day long. Where's the fun in that?
It depends on, what you like, but...
Yes. Our next card is the Gluttonous Cyclops. 5 and a red. He has Monstrosity for 5 red. He's Monstrosity 3. He's a 5/4. Not a particularly great card, but I love the art on this one. This is the one with the Cyclops just shoving sheep in his mouth. And he's got that flavor text where he, like, learns not to eat the shepherd, so he'll come back with more sheep. He throws away the pit, as it says. It's really awesome. He's just, like, mowing handfuls of sheep. I can't imagine a shepherd, like, coming up against this thing and ever bringing his sheep back to that pasture, though.
Maybe he didn't eat them all.
Scary.
Maybe there's enough overhead where you can handle the loss of some sheep to a Cyclops. I don't know. I'm not up on the Theros shepherding business model.
No, I gotta say neither am I. Although it's probably an interesting one, dealing with Cyclops and
there's probably Cyclops
and
insurance. It's pretty sweet if you can get it.
I wonder if it varies depending on what pastures you go to.
It's got to be regional.
Like lands you live near or something like that.
I see you live next to some mountains. I'm sorry we can't insure you.
Seriously, can you put a price on your flock of sheep? Well, you wouldn't have thought so, but here we are. The next card is Eagle of the Watch. 2 and a white for a 2/1 with flying and vigilance.
That seems fine.
Yeah, I like this guy. Not taking him over the Starfish.
Yeah,
Starfish is still offers right now. But 2/1 flyer with vigilance is pretty good. A really good bestow target too, which is sweet. What do you think of the bestow mechanic?
I always think that in Limited, having more options is better. So the bestow mechanic is inherently giving you more options. So you can either play it cheaper as a dude, or you can wait a little while, play it as an enchantment to buff up another creature, and then later get a creature out of it when the enchanted creature dies. So I think it's just good.
Yeah.
Because of it opens up your options. It's not just, here's a 2/1 guy that can't block.
Yeah, I like how it gives you more decisions to make. I mean, not only can you do that, but then you have to decide, do you want to do that? Is it worth holding this Baleful Eidolon? Do I want to run it out right now? Do I run it out as a Death Touch blocker, or do I save it for something? So I like having decisions like that to make it. It makes the gameplay more interesting, I think. Yep. And getting around, I think this is the best way they've ever come up with to get around the downside to auras. The 2-for-1, where you just lose them if they get killed, if the creature gets killed out from under it. It works really well. It's a mechanic I'd love to see them bring back, definitely.
Yeah.
Our next card is Cruel Feeding. For a single black instant with Strive for 2 and a black, any number of target creatures each get +1/+0 and gain lifelink. Ooh, lifelink.
Wait a minute,
what do you think about this card? +1/+0 and lifelink. Yeah, not particularly thrilling. The fact that it doesn't pump their toughness matters, because then instead of like winning combat, they might just trade in combat. I don't know. I think there's just better. I mean, this is a block that's just loaded with combat tricks, so
that's true.
They can just do better. Yeah. Another card I really like coming up here: Cloaked Siren. 3 and a blue for a 3/2 with flash and flying. Had a lot of fun casting this card. What do you think about Flash as a mechanic?
Oh, I've always loved
Flyers.
Flash, even before it was called Flash.
Even before it was called Flash. Those of us that know from the ages before the keywords. Pretty soon, like, everything in Magic is just going to be keyword.
I'd be okay with that. I mean, it'd be a pain for newer players, but once
in.
you learn it, it's stuck in your head forever, so...
Yeah, that's why they're somewhat judicious about the keywords. I mean, there's some talk about, like, keywording milling. And I've listened to Rosewater talk about this a few times. It's like, except that it's not intuitive for new players. They wouldn't, I mean, experienced players would understand what milling is, but newer players would just be like, what's this? They don't have, like, a real-world reference to it. Like, flying is obviously kind of makes sense intuitively, and Flash is just something that's going on really fast, so... but I would love to see mill just keyworded as mill. Do you take this guy over the sigiled scryfish, Patrick? What do you think?
I already forgot what we were talking about. Which one is it?
Cloak Siren,
right.
the 3/2 flying in Flash, yeah.
Flying in Flash. And 3 power. 3 power is big in the air.
It is, yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think you could make an argument for either. I guess it depends on which way you want the deck to go. If you want to be more controlling, you kind of go Patrick Scryfish if you want.
Yeah, that's true. It depends on what your end goal is. If you're trying to force an archetype, you know, blue something aggro versus blue something control.
The one thing I would say about the Siren, as opposed to this Starfish, is that the Siren will help you win a game. The Starfish may prevent you from losing the game, but it's not going to actually help you win the game. You know what I mean? Because of the power. You're attacking now.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a fair argument. I don't know. They're both good cards. The next card is a good card, too. This is a decent pack. Nessian Game Warden. 3 green for the 4/5. When he enters the battlefield, you look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of force you control. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in any order.
I always love effects like this, especially when it's on a great big 4/5 beast.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid. Green's a great color in Theros Limited. And plus, the stellar art. This is like a big thing with a bunch of animal heads glued to it or something. It's weird. With a scale cow in the foreground. You know how they usually use birds for scale? They've got a cow for scale on this one. It's awesome.
It's like the Theros equivalent of Carmen Miranda.
Yeah. I never thought of that. That's so awesome. It does kind of look like Carmen Miranda. That's awesome. I want to buy some bananas now. This is definitely a fun pick. I'm not sure, like, strategically if it beats out the Cloak Siren or the Starfish, but it just feels good to cast a card like this.
It really does, especially if you're in heavy enough green. I mean, hopefully if you cast this, you're looking at least the top 3 cards.
Yeah, possibly more. I definitely like base green as a deck in Theros block. It's really good. You get some really, really good tools like this one to work with. Next card, Deserter's Quarters. This is an enchantment it's an artifact to cast for 2. You may choose to not untap it during your untap step, and for 6 in a tap, you tap a target creature and it does not untap during its controller's untap step, for as long as Deserter's Quarters remains tapped. Yeah, this is a really slow, clunky piece of removal. Oh my god, I never even looked at the art on this. They are stuffing this guy into a bronze torture bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember thinking when I read the card, I was like, why is Deserter's Quarters an artifact? That sounds like a land. And then I looked at it and I went, oh, that's not right.
Oh, that's horrifying. I guess, did the Greeks actually do that? I didn't think that was part of Greek culture, but I
can't remember where a bronze bowl with the fire under it? I can't remember.
I've only heard of it in like ancient Hebrew type stuff, like that era. Like the sacrificing that they would do with this thing. I don't know, but maybe I could be wrong about that. And then they would build trumpets, so like inside the bowl, so like the people screaming would make strange noises.
Oh, here we go. The Brazen Bull.
Oh, read it out. Let's hear.
Let's see here. The Brazen Bull, Bronze Bull, or Sicilian Bull was a torture and execution device designed in ancient Greece. Well, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, where they would stuff someone in it and light a fire underneath it. That's horrifying that they would actually put that on the art of a card, but it doesn't seem to fit. You'd think this would be something that killed the creature. Yeah. Let's move on.
Or at least killed it eventually.
Killed it eventually, yeah. Or made you lose life each turn or something like that. I don't know.
Oh.
Or just maybe not ever put that kind of art on a card. I don't know. Let's move on to the next one with another delightful piece of art on it, Brain Maggot. 1 in a black for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand, and you choose a non-land card from it, exile it under Brain Maggot until Brain Maggot leaves the battlefield. This is like the poor man's Tide Hollow Sculler.
Yeah. It's almost, what was it back in 1,000 years ago? Mesmeric Fiend, except It's got the until Brain Maggot leaves the battlefield, so you can't just do a trick and permanently lose something.
Which, what do you think about that templating that they've changed all that? With like the new quote-unquote fixed Oblivion ring and all that stuff.
Well, I understand. That was my elbow. I understand why they did it, because doing something like that, I've seen it done or done it myself to newer players, and they always feel like I cheated.
Yeah.
And just because it's the way the rules work, it doesn't mean that it's a good idea,
Yeah, I think that's the biggest reason, especially with newer players, is it leaves a really bad taste in their mouth when that happens to them, and I can understand why.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you lose a bit of tricksiness, but that's fine. It actually makes the card a little harder to play when you can't permanently get rid of something.
It does, yeah, definitely.
Sort of like when they changed the way combat damage.
Oh,
well, when combat damage
took it
didn't
off
use
the
the
stack, yeah.
Yeah, now there's not one optimal play that you do every single time. You have to actually use your brain. Sorry for making you use your brain.
Do I sack or do I do the combat damage instead of, I'll just do both. Emotionally,
Exactly.
I was a little sad when damage went off the stack because I love goblins, and you can do all kinds of shenanigans with damage on the stack with goblins. But
Very true.
But I understood why they did it, and I definitely think it made a lot of sense. I was more upset about losing mana burn, personally.
Me too.
Emotionally, I felt that was really an ingrained part of the game, and that it lessened skill a little bit when they took it out. I mean, I kind of understand. I understand the explanation for why they did it, but I don't know. I would have been happy for that to stay in.
And since they've gotten rid of it, they've shown off some of the design space they've opened up because of it, and I've gotten over it. I'm better now.
Yeah, that's the thing with most of these changes. When they first come, you're like, but then after a while, it's like, it's whatever. I should live with it. But yeah, the damage coming off the stack makes a ton of sense, actually, if you think about it gameplay-wise. We have a foil, quote-unquote, in this pack. I hate foils on Magical Line. I think they just look awful. But we do have a foil in here. It's Interpret the Signs. They do. They just have this greenish thing going over them. It looks, I don't know why anyone would foil a deck online, but... 5 and a blue for a sorcery, scry 3, then reveal the top card of your library. Draw cards equal to that card's converted mana.
Now, I love this card, but I don't think it's so good in draft.
No,
but
I don't
I
think
love
it's good at all in draft. Yeah, it's an interesting mechanic. It would be fun to fire it off. This feels like it would be much more at home, like in a commander deck, where 6 mana is like nothing, and you're running these huge casting cost things. You're going to draw a ton of cards off of this thing. And our rare is the Hero's Bane. 3 green for a Hydra. Enters the battlefield with 4+1/+1 counters on it, and for 2 and green, you put X counters on it where X is its power. Yeah, I think we found my first pick too. I love this card. 4/4 for 5 is okay just by itself. That's playable without any other abilities. But the fact that you can double its counters at instant speed, and you're going to be able to do it on the turn where you're untapped because it costs less to do that than it did to cast him. And then with any luck, you can wheel the Game Warden, or you'll certainly wheel a Market Festival to get you closer where you're going to be able to cast this. But yeah, I'm totally first picking this card. That's pretty awesome. Love that card. All right, let's say goodbye to Magic the Gathering here.
So are you using the wide beta?
Goodbye, Magic the Gathering Online. I am using the wide beta now. I still kind of prefer the quote-unquote current client, or what's temporarily the current client.
When does that flip over?
But it's July
16th,
wow. So in a very short period of time, yeah. They're actually completely shutting off the current client, the V2. They're bringing the V3 is going to be the current client. You won't be able to run on the old client at all. And sometime late in August, they're even going to stop supporting Windows XP too.
Man.
So, yep. And basically, I forget who wrote the article. It's the guy that's heading up the MTGO at... Yeah, I think it might have been. Basically, he was saying this system is 13 years old. The platform is 13 years old. Get over it.
Very true.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, Microsoft hasn't even supported it since they released Vista, so it's like whatever.
My desktop,
XP?
which sadly has a
I liked it.
hard drive issue, and I haven't used it in quite some time, but I never upgraded it past XP because I thought it was great.
I was completely fine with it. Then I ended up getting a new laptop in the Vistas era, but it wasn't early in Vistas. It was like later on. So a lot of things people were complaining about had been fixed by the time I got to it. So I never really had any big problems with it. I knew a lot of people complained, but it worked well.
Yeah, my laptop has 8 on it, which everybody complains about, but whatever.
How have you found 8? Because I know my son got a laptop with 8. I'm running 7 on mine right now. I'm a year or two behind here. But, I mean, when he first got 8, it was really confusing to try and figure out like where everything goes. It's so designed for like laptops and for tablets. And
once I found where the old school desktop was, I was fine.
Yeah, you do have to go hunting for it, but I mean, that's because my girlfriend just bought a computer, and it's got the Windows 8. And yeah, we managed to find the desktop, and it seems to be workable, so. All right, so now we are going to move on to our Magic News. So we're going to start with the tournament results. With Star City was the only big tournament this past weekend. The standard winner was Gerard Fabiano with Esper Control. Top 8 decks were Esper Control, Devoted to You, Black, Red Devotion, Jund Monsters, Devoted to You, Green, White Aggro, and Bant Control. The Blue Devotion decks have seen a bit of a resurgence lately. I don't know if there's anything pushing that, or if it's just like all the aggro decks that they're just beating, and people have been trying to play the aggro.
I don't know, like if the meta shifted to try to beat mono black and mono blue slipped in under the radar. I don't know.
That's really possible because mono black has definitely been a dominant deck for a while now. And beating that is definitely a different thing than beating the blue decks. So, yeah, maybe the tuning of the decks is just to open the hole for Blue Devotion. Do you play Standard much at all?
Very, very insanely rarely.
Yeah. What do you mostly like, Commander and stuff like that?
Well, when I said at the beginning I don't actually play Magic, I was only half kidding.
You're not playing much at all.
I don't have time to play terribly often. When the dorks and I do get together, though, we play Commander, and we still have some multiplayer 60-card decks from back in the day, and we always throw in at least a couple games of Plane Chase.
Oh, yeah. I've played Plane Chase on Duels of the Planeswalkers, but I've never actually played it in person, so it can be fun, though, swapping the planes around. What kind of Commander deck are you running?
Oh, Lord, I have a stack. My favorite ones are Kervek, which is a black-red, like, hurry this game up, where everyone is constantly taking damage from something I'm doing. Whether it's goofy stuff like Impatience, if you didn't cast a spell this turn, take 2.
Yeah.
Or Underworld Dreams, or if you cast a spell this turn, take 2. What is that? Spell Shock? I'm just constantly chipping away at everyone. So whether I win or not, the game is going more quickly, because our games have a tendency to drag.
Have you put a Mogus in there yet?
Did I? I know I was gonna, but I can't remember.
He seems like a good fit for a deck like that.
I can't remember if I actually put him in yet or not. I'm glad you said that. I have to look that up later.
Yeah.
Also,
because that way you're hitting everybody for like 3 on every turn. Was it 2? I forget how much damage it does.
I don't know.
You just like burning them every turn if they don't sacrifice. Either you're an Abyss or taking damage every turn.
All those gods look the same to me. I also...
Oh, that is so racist.
Right? It's terrible. I also just did a CMDR Decks video on my Johann deck, which went up last week. I just put it, actually, right before we started this, I finished putting it on the manapool.com. It's
oh, cool.
We started, we did it in a story circle on the Mana Pool, which is a segment where we start with a commander, and we go around in turns and name a card to add to the deck, and the story circle, we build a deck skeleton around it. And we had, over a year ago, might be longer, I think it was longer, we had Benny Smith on, and we did our random, somehow we determined a random commander, and it became Johann. And we were like, ooh, and we talked out, did a story circle with us and Benny. And when we got done, I was like, this is so awesome. And I set about trying to build it. And so, my current take on Johann is the CMDR Decks video I just did.
Oh, I'll have to look that up. So that's on the Maniple. Where do you host the videos? Is that YouTube or Blip or...
well, actually, the CMDR Decks video, that's a YouTube channel, CMDR Decks, that Uriah Oxford does. He's over on Gathering Magic now, but every week he has somebody's Commander deck tech.
Oh, that's cool.
He's been at it for a long time. He's got, 9,000 some subscribers, which are more than almost every other Magic-based YouTube channel. So
yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I just embedded it on the site. He actually hit me up yesterday. He's like, "Weren't you going to put this on your site?" I was like, "Oh yeah, duh."
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So for those who are listening who don't know, what does Johann do?
Johann costs 3 and a red and a white and a green, so it costs 6. And he says he's a 5/4, and he says as long as he is not attacking and is untapped, he doesn't really say this, but basically if he doesn't attack and he's untapped, all your dudes get vigilance. They don't actually get vigilance, they just don't tap to attack. But as far as the rules go, they don't get vigilance. But really, they get vigilance.
Functionally, they're getting vigilance.
Exactly, yeah.
Awesome. Well,
and there's better ways to do it, but look at it, he's so cool. He looks like Darth Maul.
That's awesome. Because who doesn't love Darth Maul? I don't know. What a waste with Darth Maul. They like
Right?
he was there. He was like this cool-looking villain. Let's just kill him off in the first movie, which was terrible anyway. We probably shouldn't get started on the prequels because that's a deep black hole to go down.
That's an entire podcast series in its own right.
It really is. Did you ever see the Red Letter Media videos, the reviews of the critique of the Star Wars videos, the prequels?
Red Letter. Are those the guy? There's like two guys and they just sit there asking questions.
Those are the same guys that do it, but no, this is the guy. He does it in like a weird voice. He calls himself Mr. Plinkett, and if you haven't looked up Red Letter Media, The Phantom Menace, and it's funny and kind of twisted, but it's the most insightful review of The Phantom Menace I've ever seen. He really critiques it well and rips it just to shreds, which doesn't take long, but he does it intelligently, just not like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, I always prefer it when there's some intelligence in your hatred.
Yeah, but you'll actually understand why the movies were really bad after you watch his videos, and you'll get a good laugh out of it too, so I highly recommend them. Post a link. Anyway, let's move on to the Star City Legacy results. The winner was Dan Jordan with Blue White Red Delver. Top 8 decks were a pair of Blue White Red Delvers, Shardless Bug, Burn, Loam Pox, Belcher, Infect, and Esper Deathblade. That is a bizarre mix of decks. I like the legacy lists that have been showing up lately. They've had some really weird stuff. Like, this is the second week in a row I think that Belcher has done something. And this is actually not the second week running, but the second time in a couple of weeks that Burn has showed up. Like 2 weeks ago, Burn actually took first place in the Star City.
Yeah, and it was in the top 16, I think, last week.
Oh, it might have been, yeah. I have to check on that. Let me take a peek at that.
At least I think that's right. We talk about it every week on Monday Night Magic, but since I don't actually play Standard or Legacy, they don't stick.
Yeah. Let's see. Event Archive. So that would have been Portland? Let me look it up. Legacy, top 16. Yes, he finished 9th. He just barely got clipped out of top 8. So it has actually been a deck. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. But one of the great things about this one this past weekend was the kid who was playing Bird. His name is Charlie Mitchell, and he is 13 years old. And I just had flashbacks to AJ Kerrigan. I don't know if you ever saw the videos with him or not, but he was rocking Legacy at 13 years old too. But he wasn't playing Burn. He was playing Tendrils. It was hilarious to watch. The video was amazing.
Good luck. I'm 33 and couldn't pilot a Tendrils
he played
deck.
it well. He did. I think it was his match on camera was 2-0. It was so funny because he's sitting there and he's like, you know how Tendrils is. It's like, spell, empty the Warrens, pass turn, Skittles, soda. It was awesome. Because he was still like a 13-year-old kid. On top of playing this deck, he was still just a 13-year-old kid at the same time. And but I don't know if he's ever top forward at Star City. This kid actually top forward, which is really impressive.
Dang.
We're going to actually talk about Burn later on. Another thing I want to talk about real quick in the news, that was all the tournament results, really. No big tournaments. There is a GP coming up. What's your next GP you're going to travel to?
Honestly, I don't know. I really wanted to go to DC a couple weekends ago, but, being broke sort of knocked me out of that. Yeah. If the Kickstarter, actually, one of the stretch goals I have is... I forget what amount it was, but if I hit it, I'm going to go to all of the East Coast GPs because I'm in North Carolina. And I think that was one of the higher ones, though. But for two of the smaller ones, if I hit some amount, I'm going to go to a GP that the backers vote on. And if I hit some other amount, I'm going to hit 2 GPs that the backers vote on.
That's awesome.
So it all depends on the Kickstarter because... So I'm going to try to make that into my means of making a living, not Kickstarter itself, but,
Yeah. The podcasting, the whole media content creation thing. Another thing to talk about in Magic News, the Hall of Fame ballots went out. And I know Rich Hagan posted an article on the Daily site with his choices and why he made them and stuff like that. And basically, he's like, these are my choices. Here's why I picked them. I'm not talking about why I didn't pick the ones I didn't pick. I'm just talking real quick about the ones I did pick. And there's a lot. This list is way longer than I realized. We're not going to talk about every name on it. But some of the notables were David Ochoa, which is no big surprise, I don't think, Jerry Thompson, Paul Rietzel, Gerard Fabiano, Oisip Lebedowitz, Guillaume Wafatapa.
It's a shame that the whole Guillaume Gate thing from, was it Newphorexia? Yeah, it's a shame that I think it was Newphorexia, on his legacy, because he is one hell of a control player. Like, it is insane. But people like me keep bringing that up, so...
Yeah, he's really good.
I just realized that as I said it. I'm like, whoops.
Well, when you're talking about the Hall of Fame, things like that are going to come up. I mean, on to his credit, it was not something that happened maliciously. It was an accident. So you don't feel like he was intentionally trying to, game the system or something like that or do something unfair. It was just like he got sloppy. But yeah, it's something I guess that will always be there.
Oh, yeah.
You still with me? Oh, okay. You were quiet. He was really quiet. So, I mean, that's kind of too bad. But, when you're talking about a Hall of Fame ballot, things like that have to come up. Other notable names, Tom Martell, Eric Froelich, Craig Wesco. Again, no big surprises in here. Jamie Park. And Mahito Mahara. Makahito Mahara. I have such trouble with names sometimes.
Man, they're the names on here. That's just insane. Like, these are some of the greatest names that aren't already in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they can only induct so many people in a year, so it takes a while to get them all in there. But and so many names in this list I had never even heard of before.
Man, back in the day, I was, like during the early days of the Manipool, actually, I was listening to Rich Hagan's GP coverage podcasts and his Pro Tour coverage podcasts, and they were brilliant. And that's why I started paying attention at all to the Pro Tour, because before I could not give a quarter of a crap about a Pro Magic player. But Rich Hagan, showed them in such a way that there were people playing the game as opposed to just names and results and deck lists. And
yeah, he brings such good life.
He really does. And his that's actually I stole 3 questions from him. He did one episode of a Grand Prix podcast back in the day where he was just walking around asking everybody like 1 or 2 questions, just everybody. And I was like, that was my favorite episode ever. It was brilliant. And I have no idea where it was or anything like that. I just remember the concept. And when I was in GP Charleston, was down there spell slinging with Jack LaCroix, my co-host on Monday Night Magic. And I had the digital recorder in my hand, and I was like, I have an idea. And yeah, it's gone from there.
Yeah.
But a bunch of these names, names are such great people. Like Paul Rietzel. God bless him. I caught Paul Rietzel just as he was knocked out of contention in the second cut in Charlotte. So Charlotte was so big that they did a cut at the end of day 1. Then you had to come back and play one more round with your sealed deck.
Right, I remember that.
And he lost that round, so he didn't get to go to the draft, so he was actually out. And I caught him just after that, and he was like, well, I'm out. But, I still do this. It's no problem. And we did the 3 questions, and I looked down to hit stop, and there had been a battery error, and the thing had died or hadn't recorded. Something had gone wrong. And he was such a nice guy. He was like, well, fix it. We'll do it again. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. It's like, and you could tell he was obviously bummed, at not making the rest of day 2, obviously, because, he's hoping to make the money.
Yeah, who wouldn't be?
But he still, kept at it for that, and that was great. That made me happy. He's one heck of a nice guy.
That's good. I like it when you hear stories like that about how these people are like really decent people and stuff like that. I mean, I could totally understand after a long day of playing Magic just wanting to have nothing to do with someone that wants to come, some strange guy coming up and asking you
especially
questions.
Dumb questions, like what the hell?
Yeah. So that's really cool to hear that. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to interact with a ton of pros yet, but I'm hoping as I do this podcasting stuff more and more to be able to talk to people. So yeah, it's really cool to hear that.
That's pretty awesome.
So let's see. So anyway, I'll probably just post a link to this list or something like that. Or maybe I'll post a list in the show notes. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about some M15 stuff. What do you think of the set?
I was just about to say, is it just me, or is M15 freaking awesome? Like, I can't remember the last time that I was, actually excited. I hate previews, okay? I've been doing the podcasting thing for so long now, and in the time that I've been doing it, I have seen the time between preview seasons just get smaller and smaller and smaller to where now it's almost gone. Like, there's previews, there's a pre-release, right after the set launches, there's a teaser for the next set, here.
It's really felt like that recently.
And it's just been a never-ending preview season, and especially on the Manipool, when our preview episodes are dedicated preview episodes. We talk about every card that we can find that's been officially spoiled.
Yeah.
And so, we have 3 weeks of that, and then there's the pre-release, so we do an episode about the pre-release, and then if we're lucky, we get 3 or 4 episodes to do our own thing, and then we're back to previews. So I really hate preview season, especially this one, which is coming at the end of the longest preview season ever because they shoehorned Conspiracy in there, which I loved, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it was... I was not looking forward to this when they started previewing stuff, but now that I've seen the entire set, even with my intense hatred of it, I can't wait to go to the pre-release.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's good to be that excited about a set.
Stuff is great.
It is a really curious looking set. Like, it almost looks like what last year's core set should have been, what the 20th anniversary core set should have been, because there's like a little bit of everything. I mean, there's Slivers and Kithkin in the same set. How bizarre is that? It feels like there's just random pieces of stuff just tossed in. Like, here's a little Innistrad thrown in. Here's a little, Kithkin thrown in. And hey, let's round the Slivers out for you guys. And it just feels like a lot of random stuff kind of mixed together. But yeah, it does look like a lot of fun. It looks like it could be fun to draft, definitely, and to do sealed. Speaking of the Slivers, there's a whole new cycle of Slivers. Yay! What do you think of Slivers? What's your opinion on them in general as a tribe?
So, back in the day in college when we were all sitting around playing 60-card multiplayer games of Magic, I despised Slivers. Because my roommate for the first 2 years when we were playing Magic, he had a Sliver deck with crystalline Slivers in it. And those are just the worst.
Yeah.
And then my co-host Dirk had one with Cryptic Gateway.
What does that one do again?
Cryptic Gateway is an artifact that costs 5. You tap 2 creatures.
Put a creature from your hand into play that matches the creature types, right?
That shares a creature type.
Yep.
And Dirk put Cryptic Gateway in the Sliver deck, which made us all go,
Oh, so you can just flash Slivers into play.
Yeah, he's like, well, end of your turn, Sliver, 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 my turn. And we're like, oh, God. And anytime the stupid life gain Sliver, what is that called? The rare one. I can't remember. It gives all your Slivers essentially lifelink. It's just the worst. Essence Sliver, yeah.
Yeah.
It's So, like, I love Sliver, like, from the standpoint of playing against them, I despise Slivers. But from a standpoint of, like, from a mechanical standpoint, I think they're brilliant. Like, every Sliver is a lord is just fascinating. And even with the way they've redone it now, I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but whatever, they're game.
With the newer template, so it's only Slivers that you control that are being affected.
Yeah. Before the Sliver mirror match was an ungodly mess, whereas with the new stuff, it's not so bad.
Yeah, it's a lot more controlled. I understand why they did that to the new templating, kind of default positions they're going to. And it makes more sense for newer players, I think. It's more intuitive to say that why would my creatures be affecting my opponent's creatures? Honestly, like the old lords like the Goblin Kings used to work that way, and Lord of Atlantis and all that. And it makes sense that I think that was kind of a design mistake way back in Alpha, that they should have only affected things on your side. But the Slivers are a little bit different story-wise. They're just like this hive species, so kind of makes sense that they'd all be buffing each other. I'm not a big fan of Slivers in general. I don't know. It never seemed like really thoughtful Magic. Like, you can just take a grab bag and dump any number of Slivers into it and dump it out, and it's like, hey, I've got a deck, and it works. But
I actually built the Sliver deck back in the day.
Yeah.
But it was 2-color. It was just blue-white, and like I used the toughness pumping ones and the absorb Sliver and all that, and the one that turned all your Slivers into Sonic Blast.
Yeah.
I forget what Sonic Sliver probably, where you could tap it and it would deal 2 damage to something and then 3
to something and 2 to you?
3 to itself, I think. So I would pump its toughness and damage prevention and all that, so that they couldn't kill themselves and just.
Tap this creature deals 2 damage to target creature or player and 3 damage to itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was another time shifted one. Oh no, it was only Time Spiral.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, every time they bring Slivers back, it's like, cool, and then I go, oh, God.
Yeah, I was afraid when I heard they were coming back last year that they were just going to, like, dominate Standard or something like that, and they just haven't been a thing at all. I think...
Not really, no. The flying one showed up every once in a while because it's 1/1 flyer. And it launches Mutavaults, exactly.
Yeah, I think they intentionally depowered them a little bit so they wouldn't just be a train wreck and just dominate everything. So I think they did a good job hitting just the right spot for them. So the new ones, did you see all the new ones yet? The Constricting Sliver is the white one. 5 and a white for a 3/3, and it turns all your Slivers into Banisher Priests.
Holy crap.
With a new templating.
Is that fair?
That's miserable. I mean, his cost is pretty high. He casts for 6, but... I honestly don't even think of Slivers like in Standard or anything like that. I'm just like looking at this through Commander eyes, and yeah, that's miserable. Oh, with a Cryptic Gateway, you can just flash them in. That's disgusting. Belligerent Sliver is the red one. 2 in a red for a 2/2, and slivers you control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. So that's a pretty powerful effect. Yeah, I think that's been done. Was it 2-headed sliver? Yeah.
The 2-headed. Yeah.
So it's similar to that one. I don't know if it's got the same casting cost or not. Let me look it up.
2-headed sliver was a 1/1 for some reason. I don't know if that's right or not. It's just what my brain is telling me.
2-headed sliver is a 1/1 for 2 mana. It's 1 in a red. So this is 2 in a red for a 2/2. So yeah, it's 1 mana upgrade, 1 power upgrade. That seems pretty good. This is a fun one. The Diffusion Sliver. 1 in a blue for a 1/1. When a sliver you control becomes the target of a spell or ability your opponent controls, counter it unless they pay 2. So they all become Kira the Great Glass Spinner there, which is just miserable when it comes to removal. Venom Sliver. 1 in a green for a 1/1. All your slivers get Death Touch. And Leeching Sliver, 1 in the back, black for a 1/1. Whenever a sliver you control attacks, defending player loses a life.
Oh, it turns them all into Hell Riders. That's cool.
Yeah, because you'd be attacking as a group, like mini Hell. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's one of those ones that's going to affect the board right away. I like that too. Because, I mean, no matter when you draw that, it's going to be good. Like, late game, a lot of times the 1/1 is just crap. But if you've already got a bunch of slivers out and you land him and you just, like, attack with your team, it's like, drain a bunch of life. That actually might be really good now that I'm thinking about it in Limited. If you can draft like well, there's not that many slivers though, so it'll probably be hard to put a sliver deck together.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But that's pretty good though. It's kind of effect. It almost feels like a haste effect. And there's a new Sliver Lord.
Oh my god.
Did you see this one? Cast for Wooburg. It's a 7/7. Slivers you control gain indestructible. It's a Sliver Hive Lord, because that's what we needed was indestructible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's just what the game needed. And the Sliver High, which is a land. You tap to add a colorless. You can tap it to add 1 of any color, but it can only be used to cast slivers. And for 5 in a tap, you can put a 1/1 sliver into play, but you can only activate it if you control a sliver. Which generally is not a problem for a sliver deck to control another sliver.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. These are definitely geared, I think, towards casuals and like EDH players and stuff like that. I don't think they're going to make any impact on Standard. I don't think anything in here is going to make slivers into a deck for the next, 3 months, 4 months, until it
probably
until,
not.
M14 rotates. Yeah, I don't see them doing anything that other decks just aren't doing better.
Oh, I don't know. I could see someone attempting like a black-red aggro slivers deck, because the black one and the red one in the current batch are both pretty good. I don't remember what the black and red ones do in the last batch, though.
I don't remember what they do either, yeah. Yeah, that could be. You never know. The blue one is sliver good. I don't know, it's interesting. Or maybe the Banisher Priest one. It'd be nice to have, like, 8 Banisher Priests in your deck. You might be able to run that just, like, in a white deck. Oh, yeah, you could fit that in, like, a control deck. In, like, a blue-white or an Esper control build if you wanted, like, 8 Banisher Priests.
I mean, they're already playing 4. Why not?
Blarg. Yeah, and that's certainly a castable cost in a control shell, so...
Let's see, the red ones... Oh, look, there's already a red sliver.
First strike.
That does the Hell Rider thing.
Oh, there's a red one that does
the Thorncaster. It deals 1 when this creature attacks. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So that's even better. But it costs 5.
Oh, that's too bad. But having 8 of those in your deck, that's not bad.
You know, I might try to build a black-red sliver deck and take it with me to an FNM or something. Because why not?
You will definitely mine some games.
We'll be like, what the hell is this?
Black-red aggro slivers. Just bring in some burn. You got like a lightning strike you can bring in to keep the battlefield clear.
Just in case. Yeah.
Yeah, Dreadbore. Oh, this is already sounding miserable.
I don't think it could ever do anything other than annoy people, though. But it would be fun to annoy people with it.
Yeah. It will definitely annoy people. There is no doubt you'll be doing that. There's something to be said for the value of that, the entertainment value of seeing your opponent's face. I have a friend at the shop that plays mill decks all the time, like in Legacy even and stuff like that. He just likes to see people's expression. And he also loves to Mind Break Trap on when they go to fetch on their turn 1. Like fetch, double Mind Break Trap, milieu 23, 26, like blarg. Of course, he dies to Reanimator decks and decks, but what are you going to do? The next bit of news for M15 is the Clash Packs. These are the ones they announced a little while ago. They're going to be alternating these with the event decks. The MSRP is $29.99. They basically have like 2 mini decks in them you can mash together to make an entire deck. And they actually spoiled the deck list for the first one. I forget what they were calling it. They had some fancy name here. Hold on. It's Fate and Fury. So it's a blue-green deck and a green-red deck. And I was looking at the deck list, and it's not particularly exciting, to tell you the truth. It looks a bit like a draft deck, to be quite honest. There is literally nothing in the blue-green deck that I'm even really interested in, except there is going to be like a foil, Temple of Mystery, and a foil Prognostic Sphinx, and a foil Prophet of Krufix, all of which have just absolutely gorgeous art on them.
Yeah, I don't like that the new alternate art Prognostic Sphinx does not look like Wilford Brimley. That's a problem. But
I totally agree with that. Yeah, we were talking about that. I'm like, he's totally Wilford Brimley.
Totally. Every time you attack, you scry 3 and say diabetes. It's just
diabetes.
What you do.
Yeah. Absolutely, 100%. And I would call a judge over if my opponent did not do that and tell them they need a flavor warning. The new Prognostic Sphinx art is nice, but I do like the styling of that other art. The art on the Prophet is just stunning. Just absolutely stunning. And in the other deck list, like the only card of note in the other deck list is a single Courser of Kruvix.
Which is probably going to be enough to make people buy it.
Oh, but for $29.99, I just don't think it justifies it. What are the promos in there? You get a foil font, a Fated Intervention, and a Hydra Broodmaster, which could be a card going forward. You've seen the Broodmaster is the one where it's double X and a green for monstrosity, and you put XX Hydra tokens onto the battlefield.
Yeah, porn tokens.
Yeah, so that could potentially be a card. How is this card? You've got a long history in Magic too. How long have you been playing?
Oh Lord, I've been playing straight since just before Onslaught came out. So however long that is, and then I played before that 100 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine 6 mana 7/7 back then?
Oh God, no, no. You can tell when you listen to us on the Mana Pool that we're all rooted in the days back before creatures were allowed to be stupidly good. Because every time we see something like that, we're like, really, is that fair? And yeah, it is. It is now, but our brains are still wired for the old way.
Yeah, this card would have been a flat-out bomb back in the day, an unbeatable bomb. Back when you were getting a 3/4 for 6 with a drawback,
And it was hot.
It's just like, yeah. And this is like just stunning. It blows me away when I look at some of the creatures that are out now and think, oh, this isn't standard playable. It just doesn't make the cut. It's like, wow, like Hydra Broodmaster. You look at this, or what is the other one the Hydra that doubles its counters every turn, or was it doubles the counters when it attacks?
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, not the one we talked about a minute ago, but...
No. It just does it automatically.
Yeah, that one.
I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but it's like I looked at that card. I thought that card was totally just going to run wild in Standard, and it just wasn't a thing. And it's like, how is this card not just like wrecking games? Because there are better things to do. But so I will definitely put a link to this, the Clash Pack. I don't know how great this is. I mean, it's a great product for a new player. Certainly good if you got someone you want to teach the game to kind of get them into it. And there are some splashy cards in here, but like value-wise, there's nothing besides the Courser, which might be enough to make these sell. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. It's essentially an event deck with 60 other cards thrown in.
Yeah.
Because they say that there's an insert in here to teach you how to turn, or give you tips on how to turn these two decks into one betterer deck.
Betterer deck.
So, I don't know. If you're the type of person who's going to buy an event deck, you're probably the type of person who's going to buy this too. So
probably. We did have a guy at the shop that picked up the Infect event deck and just wrecked F&Ms with it for like a month straight.
Oh, see, that one wasn't fair though.
No. That was actually a solid deck. I don't think he even tuned it the first night he got it. He just bought it and played it and ended up winning. What do you think of the new deck list thing that they've got on the website?
I think it's fine if it didn't snap to one card.
It always seems to snap back to the very first card on the list, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so when you're scrolling between, it's like Mountain, Elvish Mystic, Forest, Elvish Mystic, Nykthos. Dang it, stop that.
Yeah. I like how you can sort it now, too. That's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, that is nice.
Yeah, sorted by cost, sorted by rarity, and stuff like that. That's kind of cool. And I like that you can download the deck list, too. So it's got some neat... They got that whole sample hand stat... Oh, and a stats thing, too. I haven't even looked at all this yet. That's pretty cool. I'll look at that.
Anyone else? Did you notice on the Fury list, there's 5 cards listed under Other that aren't links? Like, the card doesn't pop up?
Let me go back to the deck list. Yeah.
It's two generator servant, 2 reclamation sage, and a Genesis Hydra. And they don't...
There's 3 of them on the Fate one, too. It's 2 Frost Links and an Ether Spout.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, are those all M15 cards? That's why. They're not in the Gatherer yet.
Oh, okay.
Everything else is Theros and M14, right? Yeah, that's why.
So wait a minute. In the M15 Clash packs, there are 8 cards from M15.
Well, Elvish Mystic is getting a reprint.
That's true.
And Lightning Strike.
And the basic lands are getting a reprint.
Yeah. Let's see what's rolling out of this. A lot of it's Theros. Let's see. The blue one is Divination. Divination's in Theros. There's the Swine, the Earth. Is Negate? I think Negate's getting reprinted, right? So I think of the cards that aren't M15 cards, like the vast majority are Theros cards.
That's what it looks like.
And some of the M14 cards are getting reprinted. I don't know if I think Plummet might be. God, there's a Boulder Fall in this deck. I don't even draft that card. It's terrible. Oh, it's such a bad card.
Just because it's 5 damage for 86 mana, you know.
Well, you can divide it. I want to be the guy that 5 for 1 somebody off of this thing. Take out a whole row of 1/1s for 8 mana.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
I would love that. That would make me so happy. It would totally instigate a rage quit. there is a...
And your opponent would be mad not because you 5 for 1 them, but because you cast...
Absolutely.
What the hell is wrong with Why did you play this?
There would unquestionably be a table flip involved there somewhere. You would kind of have to at that point. It's like, oh, I can't believe I cast Boulder Fall. Because you know the person that cast Boulder Fall is just straight up a bad Magic player. So not only are you losing to a bad card, you're losing to a bad player, too. What do you think of the new card frames, by the way?
I love it. Yeah, it's... I'm always one to laugh at the people who hate change. As much as I've been complaining about the new Magic website, it's not because it's different, it's because it's bad. But the new card frame, if you get over the fact that it's different, it's actually really good. Like, the only thing that really changed is they made stuff at the bottom easier to read.
Oh, yeah, that's why they did that, isn't it? They expand that black border to make it easier to read stuff down there.
Yeah, and it's in... So they've got a couple of things. You know, they've added the holofoil stamp to help combat against on rares and mythics to help combat against counterfeiting, and they've also added like where these cards came from. Like if you look at the promo, like it'll say buy a box promo on the Goblin Rabblemaster or whatever the buy a box promo was.
The
I think that was
Mystery's got CP1.English. EN. I'm assuming the EN is for English.
Oops, I mean, I'll scroll away.
Yeah, I just like
scroll back down.
It blows it up really big.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. They're going to have the language listed.
Yeah,
it's just a nice bit of helping to clarify things because everyone that has not been playing Magic for 1,000 years, and even some of us who have looked at a card and said, "Where in the holy blue hell did this come from?" And then you have to like go hunt the internet or ask Twitter or something. What is this? I've never seen this before. Oh well, you see, that came from someone a once in a lifetime thing. It's actually the only copy that ever exists, but it's still worthless. And what? So it just helps. It helps the aftermarket and the collectors and people who go. What?
Yeah, that absolutely makes a lot of sense. My only caveat was the design was the way the text box kind of jumps out from the black border behind it. It almost looks like it's laid on top of it, but.
That's true, but that's just going to take some getting used to.
It doesn't make it look bad. It to me, when I first glanced at it, it just made it look a little awkward. It didn't look like it was part of the card. It almost looked like it was separated out. But
like someone took like a label maker with black labels in it, just stuck it on there.
But other than that, I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, I agree with you. I'm not like they could change to the Future Sight background, and I wouldn't care.
Don't say that. They might hear you. Shh.
What? You don't like the Future Sight border?
See, being left-handed, the way I fan my cards, I already fan them in such a way that the current card frame is what works. So when they switched over to where all the information's on the other side of the card, and I fan my cards, I look down and I don't see anything, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I could see that. I never had that big of a deal with how I fan my cards. If I can't see the mana cost, I'll just move the card a little bit. Or honestly, I should just know the mana cost. You know what I mean? If it's a card in my deck. But let's see. I think this is a lightning bolt, but yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think it's a big deal. I know people. I'm sure Magic players just love to rage, don't they? Like, just anything that changes. That's why I try not to bitch too much too quickly about things and rage about them, because I know in a little while I'm going to calm down and I'm just going to sound stupid afterwards. So, not that I don't sound stupid anyway. Another thing, I was looking over the release notes for M15, and we actually were going to talk about this. The first one that struck me was the chain veil. What did you think about this artifact?
Oh man, when I first read it, someone actually posted it in the Manipool forums. They were like, "Oh my god," and I said, "What?" And I read it real quick because the chain veil has been in the storyline for literally years. It's just the thing. It was like a MacGuffin,
yeah.
You know, a reason for Liliana to go do something, and then a reason for Garrick to show up, and whatever.
Right.
But that's all it was. It was a mystical source of power, and that's all we got. And I said, "Oh, cool! They finally made it." Because like that is something I've wanted them to do since I got used to the idea of planeswalkers. You know, at first there was the, oh god, these are so new and weird and what the hell. And then once we got used to it, I was like, whoa, wouldn't it be cool if they made some way to not screw it up, but be able to do stuff like this twice? And with the Legend and Planeswalker rule, you kind of can.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that. I've like plussed a Liliana to kill something and then played another Liliana and made my opponent discard. Won me a game in Legacy, just being able to run out a second Lily that way.
But that still costs you a card and some mana.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Just costs you some mana. I honestly was surprised when I first saw this because I was expecting a very different card. I was expecting something, well, I thought was actually more flashy than this, like a Mindslaver effect or something like that, or take control of a target planeswalker and then you lose life or something like that. I was expecting something like, I don't know, that I felt was more splashy. This seemed actually just kind of a little flat to me. It's like, oh, I get to activate my planeswalker twice? Yeah, I guess maybe I didn't see, like, the real exciting value of it.
I mean, even before you go to Magical Christmas Land and get stupid about it, it's and the reason that I love it is it's so easy to understand. I can do it again. Well, that's not such a big deal. But then you think about all the abilities on the planeswalkers that you play. Like imagine the original Ajani. Instead of just giving your creatures a +1/+1 counter and vigilance, making them bigger by 2 and giving them vigilance like you wouldn't think there's such a large jump between +1/+1 and +2/+2, but there is. Especially on all of your creatures.
Oh, that can be huge.
And that's just a basic, whatever. How many of us have had original Chandra out and really want to burn 2 creatures, but we can't burn 2 creatures because you can only burn 1 creature, so...
Yeah. How about being able to Lightning Helix?
Oh, God, because that's fair.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Or lock down one creature that's too big to burn, and then burn the other one. Like,
being able to do Tamiyo's abilities twice.
See? The more you think about it, the worse it gets. And these are just one at a time. If you're playing some sort of like Super Friends style deck, it gets crazy. I don't know if this will ever see any sort of tournament play other than like as in Magical Christmas Land, everyone wants to combo break it, but whatever. But it's for us casual players. Oh my god.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, I've already had guys on our Facebook talking about ways to break this with Tezzeret. Which it might actually be doable. I don't know. It might actually be something you can do in an extended format. I don't know yet. But it's definitely interesting. But the thing that made it flip for me, and this is why we started talking about this, is so the way we all assumed that it was going to work was that you would activate this ability, and if for somehow you could untap it and activate it again, you wouldn't actually be able to activate your Planeswalker like a third time. We figured it would be like, you know how like Oracle of Modiah says you can play an extra land for the turn, and then if you play like another Oracle, you can still only play like 1 extra land. It doesn't like stack anymore. It just ups your total land count. And we kind of figured that that's how it was going to work. But in the release notes, they were quite explicit, and they said if you can untap this and activate it again, you get another activation off your Planeswalker. So you could activate it 3 times in a turn.
And the way it's worded,
if you want it.
It doesn't. Yeah, there's no reason not to think that. Except, why would they let you do that?
Well, that was my thought. Yeah, why would they let you do that? That seems ridiculous. But the fact that you can untap it and do it again may actually be a thing. I mean, it still costs 4 mana to activate it. It ain't cheap. But, in Tron, 4 mana is not a problem.
That has a good point.
I can do that. Like, I play a blue-white Tron in Modern, and I don't have any walkers in my deck, but You could run like a green or a blue Tron list or something like that and stick this thing in it. Can you imagine Karn? Oh my lord.
The Death Star.
Oh, yeah.
In 2 shots? That's
2 shots with a Karn and then ultimate him on the next turn? Yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah, sign me up.
Oh, it could lead to some really brutal plays. But definitely a fun casual card, and I think it actually has more potential now that I know you can untap and activate it again. It certainly could be fun.
Oh, I have no doubt that it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and I know I'm going to lose to this card at some point, and I'm going to be very unhappy about it too. Someone's going to be playing Super Friends. I don't know what variety of Super Friends. Kiora, maybe. Bant Super Friends. Bant Super Friends seems pretty good with this in it. Ugh. Jace. What do you think of the new Jace?
I like the new Jace. He's
the
not...
living guild pack.
He's not, like, overpowered. He's not stupid. And I think that's why people think he sucks, is because he's not stupid.
Well, he's no Jace the Mind Sculptor. Well, clearly not.
Yeah, because he was better than all. But,
yeah.
I think the new one, if you think back, like, Architect of Will, everyone was like, oh, this guy sucks. And now he's everywhere. Because in that meta, he sucked. You know, like, he was not a good card. And then rotation happened, and suddenly, hey, look at this awesome Planeswalker.
Oh yeah, well that happened to the Mind Sculptor. I mean, Bloodbraid was keeping him in check, and then rotation happened, and it was like, oh my.
Exactly. So I'm pretty sure people will come to appreciate him soon.
Yeah, I think that's a real possibility. I know my co-host Mike is a big fan of the card. I'm still a little unsure how to evaluate it, but the other thing too is if there's like a graveyard component coming up, like I don't know, we have no idea what's coming in cons coming up later, but if there's any kind of a reanimator deck that works with blue, he's going to be amazing for that. Because I can just look at the top 2 cards and dump one in my library and then reanimate it or something, which could be good.
That seems good.
Yeah, like it. What do you think of the new Garruk, the green-black one?
Oh my god. He is just Vorthos come to life, isn't he?
He absolutely is.
Like, all the flavor in the universe is in Garruk.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think I've liked everyone they've ever printed. The flip card was my least favorite of the 6 or 12 or however many of the freaking things they printed.
Yeah.
But this one, while not my favorite to actually play, it's definitely my favorite to just look at and be like, huh.
Yeah. We were definitely comparing him to Karn. He's got that same ridiculously powerful feel to him. And I don't think they've ever actually printed a bad Garruk. I mean, some have been better than others, but I don't think there's ever been one that's been just straight up bad or hasn't seen at least some play.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, just that first ability, just plus destroy target planeswalker. It's like, oh, he's so big. Oh, he comes out with 5 loyalty, right? And he goes right up to 6 immediately. That's so hard to deal with. And he's in exactly the colors to ramp you into him and to control the board. You've got Heroes Downfall and Thoughtseize, Courser of Crufix, and Sylvan Caryatid to get you acceleration and protection. And it's just like, I don't know. I think he might have an effect in Standard.
I hope so. I don't know if he will, but I hope so.
Yeah.
Because he's far too awesome to be looked down on as a casual-only card.
Yeah. Unlike the new Gideon they put out last year, he is not a disappointment in any way.
Whatever happened to that guy?
Oh, he didn't even make it in the control decks. It was just so bad, so bad. Makes me sad because I love playing with Gideon Jura. I was running that thing in Standard, and that card was so good.
Like, Gideon is just hanging out at the gym now, just looking at people like, do you even lift, bro? like, no, shut up. You don't either. You walk around with a towel around your neck, sipping a freaking Monster, and I've never seen you on a machine.
Yeah.
Just
telling us how you were in the finalists for Mr. World like 10 years ago. Yeah, we get it.
Walking around in the shower naked and just waving your balls. Stop it, Gideon. Stop it.
Oh, Gideon, you need to get your dignity back. And then he's at home on a Sunday with a TV dinner and on a Saturday night just drinking, watching Survivor, just all depressed and stuff.
And the first Gideon was such a format warping card.
It really was.
That I don't think it's that the second one was necessarily bad. It's that it wasn't so stupid. Yeah. Like, I know somebody, it might have been Mike, really wanted to use it, but just never found a home for it. That might be the problem with him, actually. It might not be that he's bad. It just might be that there's no deck for him to slot into.
I mean, if there was a deck, it was the blue-white based control decks. And I saw some people experimenting with him, but I just don't think he made the cut. And then Elspeth. And, like, and then Elspeth. What are you going to say? I mean, it's just like, okay, But yeah, Gideon Jura was just, not only was he format warping, he was board warping. Like, as soon as you resolved him, it immediately changed the board state. Like, you couldn't just ignore him. He's like, come at me, guys. Oh, and you're not big enough to kill me? What's up? And it's just keep plussing him, and he just, like, fogged your opponent every single turn. It's like, blarg. And then you can just blow something up if you needed to.
Of course, nowadays there's things like, Dreadbore that would make him not so format.
That's true. If he was in the current standard, he might not be as good as he was back then, because Hero's Downfall and Dreadbore are certainly things. And, I mean, Jund Monsters could eat him up without any trouble, too. They're just like, Storm Breath Dragon.
No.
Oh, how's that feel? So yeah, it could be, I mean, with a different home, who knows? But I was just really disappointed, but not disappointed with the Garruk. Looks powerful and splashy and fun. So they released the information for the M15 pre-release shenanigans, as I'm calling it. So
the M15 pre-release, also known as Good Luck Playing.
Yeah, so the pre-release cards, these are getting more and more controversial. This, again, the way they've been doing this, you get the colored pack and you get the promo card that you can play in your deck. White gets the Resolute Archangel, which is okay. I think could actually be a card. I think its ability is really powerful. Just resetting your life total like 3/4 of the way through the game. And then with a 4/4 flyer left behind afterwards, that's not nothing. Black gets the Mercurial Pretender. They get a giant demon that's just going to let you start drawing cards or costing your opponent. Oh, sorry, that's the blue one.
That's the blue one.
Yeah, the blue one's the clone. That lets you reclone things.
Yeah, clone your own stuff, and you can reset it if you want. I mean, that's a casual card through and through.
Yeah,
that's not
No, it's not.
Limited
and clones
card.
are so much less interesting now that the legendary rule doesn't blow things up with them anymore.
True, and this one you can't even copy an opponent's creature. It's copy a creature you control.
How disappointing is that? It's like it's basically not playable. It's like if I've already got something good, especially in limited. Anything I'm going to want to copy with this, I'm already winning the game anyway at that point, and it's just like blah. No, Indulgent Tormentor is the one I was thinking. This is the flying demon that's going to draw you cards or beat your opponent's life total down.
Oh, it's so stupid. It is so stupid. My Monday Night Magic co-host, Bill, or Squee, or Squill if you're talking fast, he told me earlier today or yesterday, something like that he saw, a survey on Salvation where people were asking, which would you pick? And 87% said black. Like, it's horribly, horribly unbalanced. He also said that 0% said blue. Zero. Nobody. Nobody.
Well, if you're looking at just at the promo card you're going to get, I mean, who the hell is going to take a clone? You can only clone something you control? That's just blarg. Nothing. It does nothing. But this thing, it does everything. It's huge. It's a beatdown. It's full of flavor. It's a demon, for God's sake. Who doesn't want to play that? Next on the list is the Siege Dragon, which I think is also a really good card. Enters the battlefield, blows up your opponent's defenders, basically.
2 mana more.
And, it blows up all the walls they control. Right. And then when it attacks, it shocks everything on the battlefield, if they don't control any walls. There
is one wall in each color.
Yeah, I knew there was a big wall theme.
Yeah, there's wall of fire in red, wall of frost in blue, wall of limbs, I think, in black. Yeah, wall of mulch in green, which I always loved wall of mulch. And the white one, I can't remember what it's called. I think it gives you life based on the amount of damage it takes.
Wall of Essence, you gain life equal to the amount of damage, combat damage specifically it takes.
Yeah, okay.
So that casts for 2. That's not bad. That's an 0/4 for 2, I mean, as far as walls go.
Yeah, if they're going to blow a removal spell on it, or they're going to punch through it and give you at least 4 life. So, that's fine.
Yeah, and Wall of Frost is just a solid card.
Well, I don't even think Wall of Frost is fair. How do you ever get through that?
I have to agree with that. You fly, or you play your dragon and just kill it. Yeah. Wall of Limbs is Defender, and you can sack it. Oh, so whenever you gain life, it gets a +1/+1 counter. And then for 5 black, you can sack it. Target player loses X life, where X is its power.
Yeah.
That intrigues me. Oh, is it time to dust off Bogbrew Witch? That's the Bogbrew Witch, Bubbling Cauldron, and... you know where I'm going already. And the new, where you're gaining 4 life, like sacrificing things to gain 4 life, and then you could just like sack this near the end of the game and just dust them with it. That's really wrong. I don't even know why I'm going down that road. I'm a bad person. Let's see. Red wall is Wall of Fire.
What is it, like an 06 with fire breathing? 05?
And,
whoops.
04, I think. Oops. I lost it too. Scroll up. It's 05. 05 with fire breathing for.
Oh, for 3. Oh, okay.
That's actually playable. That's not so bad. Yeah, it's 1 red.
Well, wait a minute. Well,
So
that's
doable.
old.
And
Oh my God, that's old.
Wall of Fire.
What's that? What's that? Is that from? Now I have to look. Where did that come from? Is that an alpha card? Is it Wall of Fire? Good
Wall of
Lord,
Fire,
that is
yeah.
an alpha card. Alpha, Beta,
That's
Unlimited,
sweet.
Revised, 4th, 5th,
Yes, sir,
6th,
it was-
7th, 10th, M10, and M... What does that say?
Look.
Does that say 13? And then M13. Wow.
M13 and now M15. Yeah. Look at the sweet art on the
I
alphas,
don't even
though.
remember. Let
That
me
is just
click on
gorgeous.
that. Oh yeah, and if you look carefully, you'll see the shadowy figure standing inside it. Yeah, the
Really?
cycle of walls from Alpha. Or I don't know if it was a cycle. There's Wall of Air, Wall of Fire. I think there might have been one more, or there might have been 3 more. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I can see, like,
There's
a
someone
female
standing
figure in
behind the
there.
wall. So the point of view is from the opponent looking at the wall, and you're behind it. Wall of Vapor, maybe? I can't remember.
Let's see. Let's go to the advanced search.
Yeah, Wall of
Expansion
Air
Alpha.
has it.
Oops.
I think Wall of Water. Yeah, Wall of Water had it. That was another blue one. It had water breathing. Wow, Wall of Water is a blue Wall of Fire. It's an 05 for 1 blue with water breathing. I've forgotten all about that thing.
It was the mirror one.
So yeah, it's good to see that old cards are still perfectly fine.
Yeah, that one, Wall of Fire, is actually completely playable. I mean, it's as good as any wall, basically. And the fact that you can pump its power is actually super relevant. And of course, let's see, so that's Siege Dragon. So, I mean, that's pretty good. You'll blast the walls out and get an attack in.
The reason it's not as good as the
And
black one, though, is
what's-
because it costs 7. And 7, a pre-release, it's 2 more than 5, but it's
7.
like 6 more than 5.
Exactly, yeah. It's not like... It's like a 5 mana you might be getting down on turn 5. 7 mana you're not getting down till like turn 10 maybe. Yeah. After you get past like 4 mana or 5 mana, the amount of turns you need to get there tends to scale exponentially. It's not just a linear progression, so... but it's still a beater, so it's still relevant. And then of course the last one is the Fido Titan. Man,
He's okay.
He's in.
I mean, every other turn, he's swinging for 7. So, whatever. Every other turn is a long time. But swinging for 7 is also a lot, so...
He's a 7-2 for 6, that's okay. The fact that he just automatically comes back to the battlefield is actually kind of relevant.
Yeah.
That you don't have to invest any mana or any cards or anything like that. So he gains value as a card that way.
Yeah, he's really great
But I
with
just
that
don't know if
Life's Legacy spell, where for some amount of mana you sack a creature and draw cards equal to its power. That's also an M15, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it is. It's a sorcery.
Oh, it's only
green.
2. Yeah, okay.
If you can get both of those, they're both rares. Well, Fighter Titan's probably in this.
No, it's rare.
Nope, just rare. So you'd have to grab both of those, but if you get the Fido Titan, then Life's Legacy is definitely worth laying. Why isn't that an instant? Because you're drawing cards. Life's Legacy should totally be an instant. That would make me happy.
That would cost probably 4, though.
Yeah. It's actually pretty well costed as a sorcery anyway. That's actually a decent card. That might be worth laying. Except, of course, you're just sacrificing a big creature. See, that's always kind of the balance there. I mean, do you want to sacrifice your giant creature to draw cards, or would you rather just attack your opponent with your giant creature? That's a tricky one.
True, but at least with the Fighter Titan, you'll get him right back.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, you're not actually losing anything. I mean, you can attack and let them chump block or whatever, and then he's tapped and you sacrifice him, and then he just comes back. So you're not losing, and if you need to go wider instead of taller, it might be worth Life's Legacy to draw a bunch of cards so you get more bodies on the board, or to get a specific answer that you need. So, I don't know, certainly not unplayable. Restock. That's an old card too, isn't it?
Very.
Yeah.
It's from the point when I wasn't playing between Weatherlight and Onslaught in there somewhere, but I forget where exactly.
Invasion.
Oh, there you go then, yeah.
Wow, and actually has not been reprinted since then.
Yeah, it has.
Nope.
It totally.
Invasion. I'm looking at it on the Gatherer right now. Invasion is the only printing.
No. Let's go to the other one. Magiccards.info, because they show you all kinds of stuff that Gatherer don't. What was it? Restock.
Restock.
Really?
Did it have a special printing?
I could have sworn I had a printing of it in a newer card
Like
frame.
a
Maybe
promo or
I've just got lots of them.
That could be. I think they kept the original art. Yeah, same art
yeah.
too. Oh, that's kind of sweet. It's a decent piece of art.
I could have sworn it'd been printed again somewhere. That's crazy.
I love looking at them in German. Weiter aufstocken. How can you not like that? My girlfriend just hates when I play with foreign language cards, but I love foreign language cards, especially German and Russian.
The Ubermeer.
Yes, absolutely. I have a, what is it, German? I have a German strip mine, which is really cool. And I've got a full play set of Italian Antiquities Urza lands with all the different seasons on them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm super proud of that. It's one of the reasons I'm playing Blue-White Tron in Modern. Is like, I get to play with these lands. They're pretty. So let's see where we're at. That's a lot of time. Let's move on from Magic newsy type stuff to a little Deck of the Week segment that we like to do. I like to do this every week. We talk about like a different deck, and we've been doing Modern decks because Modern's pretty big around here right now, and we do have a Modern Grand Prix coming to this area soon, which I am super stoked about.
Oh yeah, which one?
Worcester, Mass.
Oh, Worcester's gonna be Modern? Oh, sweet.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm playing Reduke's Blue-White Tron list. The only change I actually made from the list he posted was taking out a Batterskull and putting in Vanishing Light when it got printed. So now I actually have 3 O-Ring effects. Because what you do is it's got Gifts Ungiven, so you cast Gifts and you search up 3, like it's either 3 Wrath of God or 3 Oblivion Ring, whichever you need, and then Emrakul. So they either give you an Emrakul and 1 card you need or 2 of the cards that you need, and then shuffling everything back. But that way you always know that you can get at least 1 of what you need that way. But I like the deck. It's fun to play. Yeah, it's better than like the Green Tron for me because the Green Tron decks are like super dependent and the Blue Tron on like making Tron happen. They really need that to happen. But this deck runs a lot of control and it runs Colonnades, Celestial Colonnades. So I've got other routes to victory besides just assembling Tron and doing something stupid like casting Emrakul. Plus the Blue Tron decks do Mindslaver locks, and that's not fun Magic. I don't like that at all. But for our Deck of the Week this week, I thought we'd talk about something kind of simple and fun, which is Legacy Burn. This is definitely a deck I was playing when I first started playing Legacy competitively. Like so many people, this is the deck that I was playing, basically. It's cheap and it's easy. It's actually the second most popular deck in Legacy, or at least was a little while ago. And I think it's for those very reasons. It's easy to put together. It's super not expensive. You don't actually even have to run any fetch lands. You can just run all basic mountains if you want.
And I've seen decks that do perfectly fine.
Yep. The creature package is pretty straightforward. 4 Goblin Guides. Probably the best 2-drop creature, 1-drop creature ever printed. Or pretty close to it. I mean, I suppose Delver maybe.
If it's not, it's right up there.
Yeah, I guess technically he has to compete with Delver, but he does more on his own than Delver does. Delver needs the right deck. I guess Goblin Guide Goblin Guide doesn't. He just needs to be in an aggro deck. I mean, anything that you're going aggro.
He just needs to hit the board and punch people.
I mean, I've had I was playing him in Standard, and it was turn 1 guide, turn 2 guide, 6 on turn 2, and it's just like, sure, draw a couple extra lands, have fun with them. Have fun dying while you've still got those lands in your hand. It's a brutal card. And then the big addition to this deck was a 4-rub of the Eidolon of the Great Rebel, which I always mispronounce. I knew this card was going to be powerful when I saw it spoiled, because I played this deck and I knew how powerful Pyrostatic Pillar was, and for those who don't know, Pyrostatic Pillar is an enchantment that does exactly what the Eidolon does, except Eidolon is also a creature. And being able to put that ability on something you can also attack with is just ridiculous in a deck like this. It's a must-kill card. If you resolve this thing, they have to get rid of it. They don't have a choice, and they're taking 2 damage doing it. What, the Eidolon?
Yeah, why everyone in a deck where every card shocks you, or virtually every card? Why this is so great? And this is what separates me from the good Magic players, I think.
It's because it's a race. Because every other spell you have in here is doing more damage to your opponent than it's doing to you. Like Lightning Bolt is 3. Imagine if you had a spell that said do 3 damage to your opponent and 2 to you. Lightning Bolt does that. Searing Blaze does that. Chain Lightning does that. Lava Spike, Rift Bolt all do that. Price of Progress does maybe like 6 damage to them and none to you, or just the 2 to you. It's because this deck is all about racing. And the fact that they're actually taking damage to kill this thing, and it's attacking them in the process. It's all just about beating your opponent's life total down. It's totally about the ultimate tempo, just ramping the damage as fast as you possibly can. And every point of damage you can do to them matters, and you just don't care about your life total with this deck.
And also, now that you mention it, since once you get this down, you don't actually have to cast a spell anymore unless they do.
It works that, like, a card like this against a Storm deck, they don't have a chance. I mean, you used to board in Pyrostatic Pillars against Storm. Another thing about a Pyrostatic Pillar, too, is you're never happy to see more than one of them in your hand. It just becomes kind of... And it's very reactive to what they're doing. Like, they have to do something for Pyrostatic Pillar to matter. With an Eidolon, it matters when they do something, but you can also attack them.
Yeah, you're still punching them in the head for a tenth of their life total every turn. Oh,
so yeah, you're doing that,
I get it.
And then if you get 2 of these things out, they're going to take 4 life to kill one of them. And like everything in Legacy costs, I mean, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but 90% of Legacy is under 3 mana. So there's basically nothing they can do that's not going to be hurting them if you have an Eidolon out. And Storm decks are just going to fold to this thing. And,
like the Delver deck is like, Brainstorm.
Take
you're
2.
Like, okay.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a beating. I think it may have actually pushed this deck up a tier competitively. I wasn't sure if it was going to, but the way it's been performing at the Star City events, like we were talking about, first place, fourth place.
You're right. I have seen it more